So, if you wake up in the morning and lack the drive to do something, it means you aren't prioritizing your own well-being. That is what you need to examine. Why am I not doing this for myself? Because the primary purpose in life is self-improvement. Let's be direct. Some individuals frustrate me. Consider Gary's knee problems. Observe his running form. Now, look at how I run towards my goals. What were you doing for the last 65 hours? I know what I was doing. I was running up and down mountains, practicing what I preach. Stay resilient. If you are willing to endure true suffering, your mind and body, once united, can achieve anything. If you aspire to be exceptional, to be the best at what you do, you will be misunderstood by everyone. You will become so obsessed and driven to succeed. That is what it requires. Do tasks you dislike. Be uncomfortable every single day. We often avoid the truth. The only way I found success was by moving toward the truth. As painful and brutal as it was, it transformed me. It allowed me to become the person I am today. I have trained 99% of my life alone. I can push myself to a level of genuine passion and purpose without needing anyone. That is why people come to me for motivation. They don't truly know me. We all consider quitting when things are difficult. This is where people fail. It is hard to process information during pain. You are thinking about survival, not rational thoughts that will help you persevere. I have a history of overcoming challenges that I recall when I am struggling. The only way to complete this journey is to endure suffering. To grow, you must suffer. Some people will understand this and others will not. I was not gifted with intelligence or natural talent. I knew that to compete on the same level, I would have to undertake work I didn't even want to approach, so I would procrastinate. But I did it because it haunted me. I believed I was indestructible. Through injuries like shin splints and stress fractures, I asked myself, who on earth would continue right now? The answer was me. I built the persona of Goggins from nothing. I was born David Goggins, but that version was not sufficient. He was a frightened, bullied, abused child who struggled. No matter how hard I trained or how prepared I was, when things became difficult, the real David Goggins would emerge and quit. So, I had to construct Goggins. In that process, I had to return to the mental lab. That is where I improve. I get better when I wake up early to do things I don't have to do. I did all the work alone. While I am still hard on myself, I know what I have accomplished. You will have to face many challenges. You have a long journey ahead. You will discover that, despite what your father did, you will have to make it on your own. The world we live in is tough. It will beat you down. Life is the ultimate competitor. It will try to defeat you, find your weakness, and hammer you. So, it is time to get back to work. Stop listening to your own excuses. Get off the podcast. Don't spend too much time on social media. Eliminate all the distracting noise. Return to the mental lab because that is where knowledge originates. You need to reach a point in your life where nothing can hurt you because you know exactly who you are. You have faced your demons. You have listened to your past traumas. You are able to say, now I can talk to people about what I went through. I am no longer embarrassed or ashamed. Shame is one of the biggest obstacles that prevents people from moving forward. Do not ever be ashamed of anything you have done. Face it, fix it, and make it better. Everything I need is in my mental lab. I am in a constant state of self-study. I know what needs to be conquered because I am constantly engaging with what I dislike and what makes me uncomfortable. Only I can fix these problems because I have to face them. Unchosen suffering will happen. The only thing you can do is to engage in chosen suffering to prepare for it. That is the only practice you can have for unchosen suffering. Do something difficult every day. I am not trying to tell everyone to run 200 miles or be the best in the world. But you must develop a tough part of yourself, a part that can analyze situations, improve, and navigate through trauma or devastation quickly, because it will come. It cannot be an immovable barrier. It must be something you can maneuver through and move past. That requires significant toughness. Many people, when you die, figure out why you died from an autopsy. But we rarely perform a live autopsy to determine why we are dying while we are still alive. I was dying, I was living every day, but I was truly dead. I figured it out, and once I did, I was able to be reborn. You must take the knowledge you learn from all your experiences. I am trying to give people the strength to go into the archives of their life. There is likely something that happened to you. Go through those archives, dig it up, study it, and use it for yourself. That is my main purpose right now. You need to be better here. You need to overcome this and that. People need a purpose to get up and to perform. You need to reach a point where there is no specific goal on the docket, no 5K, no school program, and still perform at the highest level. What people do not understand is that one day a challenge will arise. If you are not constantly performing without a specific purpose, you will not be ready when the time comes. Purpose is a magical thing we all seek. The funny part is that we need these things to perform, but we fail to realize that the purpose is always there. The purpose never leaves us because the fundamental purpose is you. You are always the purpose. There may be secondary purposes, like being a SEAL or going to college, but the main purpose in life is you. So, if you wake up in the morning and do not want to do something, you do not care enough about yourself. That is what you need to research. Why am I not doing this for myself? Because that is the number one purpose in life, to better oneself. That is the only purpose I need. The reason I get up every day, even with no race or school in front of me, is because I have pride in myself. I was born David Goggins. David Goggins was not good enough. He was a scared, bullied, abused kid who struggled. Whenever things got tough, no matter how hard I trained or how ready I was, the real David Goggins would come out and quit. I realized this over time, so I had to build Goggins. In that process, I get better. I get better when I am digging deep, when I am waking up early to do things I do not have to do. That is where I improve. It is important to stay hungry, but it is more important to stay humble within that hunger. Many people are hungry, but humility is everything. Consider the story of William Crawford, the janitor. He won the Medal of Honor, the highest military award, for his heroics and saving lives. Later, he was a janitor at the Air Force Academy. No one knew who he was. For this man to have that level of achievement and the humility to put his medal away and perform his duties, cleaning up after young men, is amazing. That is where you grow. It shows he was a servant who did not see himself as better than anyone else. The moment you do that, you are lost. I always look at people and understand where they are because I have been there. I have never been above you. I have been beneath you. That is where my knowledge originated. I know how to reach people in the dungeon because I have been there so many times. You have to be your best self even when you are least motivated. That is the tricky part. Motivation is just a word. You must have a clear vision of where you want to go and know that motivation will not always be there. Discipline is crucial, but without a clear mental space, there is no discipline. Think of your mind like a circuit breaker. If you overload one circuit, it will blow. You must have everything plugged into the right spot. A cluttered garage cannot hold anything. Once your brain is crowded, discipline may appear sometimes, but you will not have the consistency needed. I call this mental zoning, organizing your mind so you can apply discipline. Many people talk about discipline but fall off the wagon. They cannot maintain a routine, go to the gym, wake up early, or eat right because their mind is cluttered with concerns about their kids, wife, or job. If it is not compartmentalized, you cannot find a place for discipline. You must be able to locate all the different aspects of your mind. If your life is not organized, one small piece of outside interference can clutter your entire mind. Your mind must always be clear. That is why I meditate for 2 hours every night to refresh and reorganize the garage of my mind. Then, discipline, organization, and everything else are in their proper place. I wake up with armor ready for the world. I am not disorganized or rushing. Why is the truth so important? You must have the truth to have a starting point. Your true self is found in that uncomfortable zone. We all seek toughness, but we look for it in comfortable environments. You will not find it there. The only way to find it is to immerse yourself in a situation where you are out of your depth, where you are drowning. Once you come face to face with who you are, you have a starting point. You realize you are not utilizing your potential. The remaining majority is suffering, pain, failure, self-doubt, and darkness, with a bit of light at the end. To reach that light, you must go through all of that. If you are not succeeding, it is because you are afraid to enter that dark place to find yourself. You are setting goals you know you can reach. Growth happens in fear, insecurity, and doubt. You must always set goals you believe you cannot achieve. That is where you get better. When the alarm goes off at 4:00 or 5:00 a.m. and your mind says no, you must respond, this is what we do. To get where you want to go involves significant mental pain, repeatedly doing things you do not want to do. Every day you must ask yourself, did I do enough? After doing this repeatedly, it becomes like breathing. You may not want to live this lifestyle, but to reach the other side, you have to. If you truly want it, you must understand what trying really means. Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. When you set aside your phones and computers, your brain is all you have during depression, hard times, or death. You cannot Google that. You are alone. You may have a therapist or a best friend, but for 24 hours a day, you are alone with your brain, and it will try to control you. If you cannot control your brain and it controls you, you are finished. You must tell your brain where you want to go and how to get there. If not, it is over. All I knew was hard work. If I could not understand a paragraph to pass a test for the military, I would read it again. If that did not work, I would write it out. I kept going back until the information became ingrained. My mind would eventually adapt because it realized I was not going to stop. It was not about trying one more time. The alarm would go off and we would go back. I gave myself no way out and my mind adapted. That is how you get through things. You immerse yourself in the challenge until it becomes your new norm. I became hell, and that became my standard. I once watched a segment on TV about Navy SEAL training. I was not a great swimmer and was afraid of the water. I saw guys quitting, but at the end, a commanding officer gave a speech to 22 guys. I started visualizing myself as the 23rd guy sitting there. I thought if I could feel that, it would change my life. The feeling I wanted was respect, accomplishment, and victory. I wanted to win, not by beating others, but by finishing. Everything in my life, when it got hard, I quit. I had to work harder, but I quit. I just wanted to go the distance and finish. I wanted to feel victory. I started feeling victory just by putting myself in the battle. I realized that by going to war with myself every day, setting challenges and insurmountable obstacles, I could progress. If you view yourself as broken but still fighting, with no other place to go, it gives you power. No one finds themselves without going through trials, tribulations, suffering, and accountability. Accountability is suffering. Being accountable every day for doing right by yourself and others is miserable. The more I did this, the more confidence I gained. I realized that these Navy SEALs could not do what I was doing. I had no coach, trainer, or money. I did not know how to lose weight or what I was doing. I was just working and sacrificing. I would have never found these tools if I had not put myself in an uncomfortable place. Your true self is found in that uncomfortable zone. I was not always this strong. I went through many hard times to get here. All I wanted was to be an uncommon man, and for most of my life I was not. I was 6'1" and 300 pounds. I walked into a recruiter's office and he told me I was fat and black. I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. I came back 3 months later, 106 pounds lighter. You have to wake up and give yourself belief. It is about gaining control of your mind, putting things in proper perspective, and affirming that you really want to be here. I now view every obstacle as friction. Without friction, there is no growth. You need friction in your life to grow. I stopped looking at my life with a woe is me mentality coming from a broken family, being beaten and abused. I started seeing it as a perfect training ground. I flipped it upside down and used my suffering to my advantage instead of my disadvantage. I looked for power in it, and that became fuel for the rest of my life. I found great strength in suffering. It showed me what we are capable of as humans if we are willing to push that extra step. People often ask how I do what I do. At the end of the day, I ask myself one question: can I take one more step? Usually, the answer is yes. If you can answer that question and choose not to take another step, that is real failure and quitting. Many people can take one more step but choose not to. I do not know if I can take 2 steps. I have to answer that after taking the first. I can always take one more step. If I choose not to, that is on me, and I have to live with it. There are many people in graves who lived 100 years but never started their real journey. Your real journey begins when you step outside your comfort zone and start climbing mountains. It continues, and just when you are ready to quit, you crest that final mountain. You look back and see yourself, but you cannot find the peace you are looking for until you have overcome yourself. With confidence and self-esteem, there is a relationship between confidence and competence. You want what you believe you can do to be slightly ahead of what you can actually do, without being delusional. People often want confidence far ahead of competence without having been competent at anything, which is fantasy. You have to build belief. There is an after-school special belief where a mother says, believe in yourself, but there is also a built belief. I built belief through the daunting tasks I put myself through. That is proof positive that I can. This correlates, and that is how I, a kid who once thought he was worthless, built belief. Going through 3 hell weeks, Ranger School, and Delta selection created an undeniable stack of proof. That is proof. Confidence comes from what you have built. You must build belief and confidence. It is not about pounding your chest in the mirror. What works for me is that every day resume the things I know I have accomplished, the real hard work. The calluses on my mind and hands, you do not need to pound your chest if you have that. It is a belief built on what you have invested in yourself. I came from a small town in Indiana with a handful of black families in a town of 8,000 people. The expectation was to work at the local plant and get a house next to your mom. That is what you knew. Many of us come from small places in our mind and are not willing to think beyond what we have seen. Our minds operate in a small compartment. I was able to dream outside the four walls of that small town. You must put yourself into that dream. But do not let dreams become your master. That is when you truly become what you are destined to be. Many people dream about being a sports figure, a SEAL, or an astronaut, but it remains just a dream. They do not put in the work. You become the master of your dream when you say, I want to be a Navy SEAL, and then you commit to losing 106 pounds in 3 months. The dream fades and a laundry list of details and tasks appears. That is when you master your dream. Ryan Holiday talks about the difference between talking about the thing and doing the thing. They compete for the same resources. Allocate yours appropriately. That is how the brain works. You can get dopamine kicks by telling your friends, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. I start training next week. It feels good to talk about it, but then the alarm goes off at 4:00 a.m. to train, and you do not want to do it. You say, I'll start tomorrow. That is the usual pattern. That is why I talk about clearing out the mind. Until you truly want to do something, you will always be a talker. So if you wake up and do not want to do something, you do not care enough about yourself. You need to research why you are not doing this for yourself. The number one purpose in life is to better oneself. That is the only purpose I need. The reason I get up every day, even with no specific goal, is because I have pride in myself. But where do you go from there? You wake up on a cold, wet, dark morning. Your knees hurt, your gear is poor. It is warm on the couch. Your partner says to stay in bed. It is comfortable. You have work later. You had an argument. You are slightly hungover. I know most people will not do what I am going to do. This is how you level up, knowing that so many people have the ability. Refuse to get off the couch. Refuse to study a few more hours. Refuse to go deeper. That is where I gain the advantage. It is easy to be great nowadays because most people are weak. Most do not want to go the extra mile because it sucks. It is miserable and lonely. People wonder how I became this person, how I became so vulnerable, how I can do a podcast when I was once that kid. You overcome things, you fight them. On the other side of overcoming, you become powerful. When you overcome yourself, all the things you once cowered from, you now face eye to eye every day. You become exactly who you are. You have faced your demons and heard your past traumas. When you go to war with yourself, you find peace because you know exactly who you are. That is where peace is found for me. Consider what it takes to be on one side of a door in Iraq, knowing on the other side are people who are not afraid of you. They are ready, they have guns, and you still have to breach that door. That is a scary situation. Your mind races because on the other side it could be empty, or it could be 4 men with AK-47s. The door could be booby-trapped. There are 1,000 things to think about. This is why I talk about the warrior mentality. Many people are lost when I discuss this. You are lucky that you do not have to think like warriors. I chose to be a warrior, and I would choose it again. The mentality is different. You must be the person at that door, ready to open it, thinking, if I die, so be it. The only way you can enter is by accepting there is a great chance you will die. As a SEAL, you train with live ammunition, jump out of planes, everything you do carries risk. I am glad you do not understand me because being a warrior requires a completely different mindset. It means accepting that you may not survive. I was in for 21 years. I am lucky to be alive. When you sign up to be a SEAL, your mentality changes. You accept that you may not live. That is what makes you a warrior. If you are scared to die, you are a bad warrior. I also look at the guys to my left and right. We are here together, and I have to be strong for them, and they for me. In the SEAL teams, you may not like everyone, but when you are on a mission, all that is set aside. You fight for the person beside you. You cannot be a coward. I look at everything I do now, and this sums it up. I hated jumping out of airplanes, shooting guns, and the job of a Navy SEAL, but I did it because I wanted to change myself. Everything I do, I am not comfortable doing, but if you choose to be a SEAL, you might as well be the hardest individual possible. You have two routes: be weak and barely get through, or be the hardest person you can be. My philosophy is, if you are going to open that door in Iraq, open it hard. They will remember you for how you entered. So, if you are going to do something, attack it. You can hate me, but you cannot say I did not attack it. That is the mentality. If you are going to do something, you might as well attack it. Who on this earth would still be going right now? You are. There is a lot of thought behind a person transforming from a born loser into who I am today. You do not just wake up as a champion. There is a process to getting better, and that process is never finished. If your back hurts, it may not be your back. It may be something else. I am always examining myself. What is the hurdle? Often it is going back to face the beast, the demon. All the times I said, I'm not going back, but I did. It showed me more of what we are capable of as humans if we are willing to push that extra step. People ask how I do what I do. I ask myself, can I take one more step? Usually the answer is yes. If you can answer that and choose not to, that is real failure. Many people can take one more step but choose not to. I do not know about two steps. I answer after the first. I can always take one more step. If I choose not to, that is on me. I had just climbed a mental wall that was amazing. I did not want anyone to take that pain away because it was confirmation. This was a new level. You do not need many things. Sometimes the only thing that kept me going was one thought. Let's not quit yet. Think about your options. Where will you end up if you quit? When I finished that race, the pain of the last 30 miles was indescribable. Laying there in the worst pain of my life, shaking and broken, all I could think was, I can't believe what I just did. It seemed humanly impossible. Once you do it and the reality hits that you went 101 miles, with the last 31 being something you cannot describe, it becomes your new norm to think I can now run 200 or 240 miles, and that becomes like running 50 is astounding. I always push the limit because I know there is always more. Did that set the tone for what you wanted to achieve and feel again? Each time you push further, I never wanted to feel it again, but it showed me what is possible. It set a new stage. I realized I had been underachieving my entire life. It taught me what is possible. It was a lesson in action, less talking, more doing. That is where I have been. It only takes 1 second to lose everything. The 1 second decision occurs when life is difficult. You are in extreme cold water, your life is flashing before your eyes, and you think, I have to get out. In Hell Week, hour 1 of 130, you are cold and think, I can't endure this. In that 1 second, you forget every reason for being there. You do not care about being a SEAL or fighting for your country. You just want comfort. This is where people fail. We all think about quitting when it is hard. In that 1 second, it is difficult to process information because pain takes over. You think about fight or flight, about saving yourself, which is not rational. Most people fail that 1 second. What I do is start thinking logically. I calm my brain down because it just wants to escape. It is about gaining control of your mind, putting things back in perspective, and affirming that you want to be there. You will have many of these 1 second decisions, and if you fail one, you will not become a SEAL, a doctor, or a lawyer. That is how important that 1 second decision is. Your mind tries to control you. You must assert that you are in charge. There is no other way. You cannot always have your head in the sand. You must learn to pick yourself up. In these battles, you often have to be your own coach and motivator. Many people in the world do not want to see you succeed because they think you will take a piece of their pie. I have learned to study people before reacting. No successful person in a good headspace will attack others in that manner. There is always something wrong with them. You must dive deeper before getting your feelings hurt. Take that 1 second to pull back and study them. Most people in good places do not care what you are doing. They will try to build you up, not destroy you. Most people who attack are in a dark place. As you become more successful, Open yourself to critique. Most critics are not where you are. Their criticism comes from a low level of life. You will never meet a hater doing better than you. That is a true statement. I started making mixtapes of hate messages. It became a source of fuel because I know why they hate me. They are probably in bed, underachievers who do not want to do anything with their lives. I make them question themselves, so I continue to be successful to make them question even more. There are days I do not want to do this, so I listen to those messages while I run or play them in the house. It is half comical, half inspiring. I am inspired by it because I know I will face adversity. There is an art to getting hit in the mouth, which is why these things are important. You have to wake up and give yourself belief and confidence. It starts with that run. Belief is not just an after-school special. It is built. I build belief through daunting tasks, creating proof that I can. You do not become confident by shouting affirmations, but by having a stack of undeniable proof. Outwork your self-doubt. People say to pound your chest in the mirror. I hope it works for them. What works for me is that everyday resume of accomplishments, real hard work, and calluses on my mind and hands. That is it. You must build belief and confidence. Instead of the path of least resistance, I chose the path of most resistance to prepare for my journey. Through hard work, you can outwork anyone, no matter how talented they are. It starts with yourself. You must dive into the things you fear. You do not gain confidence by going to a happy spot. That is a false reality. When life challenges you, you will want to return to that comfort. My confidence came from spending years at a kitchen table, learning to read and write on my own, realizing I could learn differently. Confidence comes from overcoming fear, from facing challenges repeatedly. Soon, you realize that your confidence is built in the discomfort zone, not the comfort zone. Happiness, peace, and enlightenment are all in the mind. You must be willing to face it. The hard part is the mental standard you must meet in life, not just the physical. That is how I live. I know there is no cap on the human mind. We impose our own limits. When most people quit, I had just started. Adopting that mindset made me powerful, and my body followed. I decided to give myself a challenge every day until the fear dissipated. I believe more of us should do this. It helps me feel confident when I overcome a fear and realize it no longer controls me. That is right. You can be at more peace. Many of us speak in hollow words. I used to. I do not anymore. Everything I say has substance. We all have feelings in our bodies, minds, and souls. I act on mine. Many who are afraid allow their minds to choose the path of least resistance. When I am afraid of something, it tells me I must do it. Life is one big mind game you play with yourself. You cannot lose perspective of how far you have come. I am trying to give people a different thought process, where failure, hell, disappointment, and discomfort are great learning tools. Many do not understand this, but these few moments are critical. For me, a 2-minute and 13-second clip of Rocky getting up after being knocked down was pivotal. When I was going through a bad time, I saw what I wanted to be, not a winner, but someone who kept getting up. That clip changed my life. I saw something I needed to be in my world. Maybe my story will give someone the 2 minutes and 13 seconds they need to change their life. Everyone has a story. We do not share it on social media. We share our nice lives. We all have a dungeon. I am just willing to talk about mine. Mental toughness is not something you sample. It is something you live every day. When hardship comes and you do not know what it is, it may be different for you. You go back to your insecurities. Then you look for comfort within them. We all look for that cookie our mom gave us when we were sad or sick. We look for our spouse. In those moments, you must retrain your mind. Think differently. The mental standard is knowing how far you have come. I walk into a room now knowing the hours, years, and decades I invested in David Goggins. It is not a trophy on the wall or a medal around my neck. I do not care how you perceive me because, through my journey, I discovered the one piece I was missing. I thought it was cars, women, or money. The missing piece was me having the courage to face myself. My work ethic came from the hours I spent learning. When you are not smart and have a disability, but but you still want to be top of your class, not just get by. You realize you can learn through hard work. I could beat the valedictorian by putting in 10 more hours a day. The strength that comes from that is immense. That is where David Goggins was invented. At a kitchen table with 20 spiral notebooks, empty and then full. I still have them. Going through those notebooks, seeing how I learned is unbelievable. It was not until I got very sick and my life became quiet that I realized something. I went from running 205 miles in 39 hours to being unable to get out of bed. My life was taken from me. I realized I had never taken time to reflect on what I had done. I had accomplished all these things, but there was no finish line. I finished a race in life and would not even receive my medal. I would just move on. When I started figuring out life, I realized I was leaving so much potential untapped. I was this dumb, fat kid being bullied, and now I was 180 pounds, having lost 106 pounds in 3 months, learned to read and achieved so much. I thought I need more. I was fueling my mind but never took time to acknowledge how far I had come from hell. I had come 8,000 miles from where I started, but if you never recognize that, you are still in a low place. It is in that quiet place by yourself, in the grip of life when it has you by the throat, that you find clarity. You are not panicking or quitting. You are trying to figure a way around it. When you do, that is when you overcome. The journey to get there was harder than going through it. That is the whole thing about life. The journey makes you who you are.